Welcome back to the Barrett channel today for a brand new video. Now, I'm in the comfort of my apartment, not able to go out at the moment because we are in lockdown, unfortunately. Literally can only leave the apartment for tests. I do have a little garden area downstairs, but why not film, as I said, in the comfort of my apartment. Now, as you've probably read by the title already, we're going to be talking about the cost of living here in China. Now, I'm going to draw from my own experiences of living in Shenzhen and compare it to a city in the UK, kind of like by like. So I've chosen Birmingham in the UK to compare with. Probably the most expensive city in China to live in will be Beijing or Shanghai. But Shenzhen is probably not too far behind, and that's similar with Birmingham as opposed to London, because London is, a lot more expensive. It's by far the most expensive place in the UK to live. Now, I know this video is not that timely because, there's not going to be too many people flying to China at the moment. My friend came from the UK recently, actually, and there's going to be a video on the channel soon of how much effort and time and money it took him to get here. So, it's pretty closed off to foreigners coming to China at the moment. So possibly this video may help you in the future, or if you're never planning to come here and you're just curious about the cost of living here, then stay around. Now, to make it easier on myself, I'm going to be talking in the currency of Great British pounds. Currently, as I'm recording this, it's about 8.5 RMB to the pound, and it's about 1.3 US dollars to the pound. So you can do your own translations, currency translations, as I'm going throughout the video. Now, first thing that comes to mind when you're talking about cost of living is, of course, rent. How much per month is it going to cost for you to stay under a roof in that city? In Shenzhen, it massively varies on the location you are in the city. How close it is to a metro station, etc. I know that's the same everywhere in the world. It seems to be a significant factor in Shenzhen or many Chinese cities. So I used to live in an outer district called Longgang. It was very close to a metro station, my apartment, and it was fairly spacious studio apartment with an ensuite, etc. And that was costing me about £150 per month, which is just incredibly cheap. From that apartment, it took me about 1 hour on the metro to get down to the center. So if you're willing to do that and you don't have to go into the center that often, then that is definitely a viable option, because that is really, really cheap for a new apartment to live in, a city of 17 million people. That's pretty amazing in my eyes. However, now I live much closer to the center, probably about 20 minutes away on the metro. However, I'm not even that close to a metro station. I need to take my electric bike for 5 to 10 minutes to get to the station. And here I'm paying just under double that, so about £280 a month. If I were to want to live in the centre, right next to a metro station, it's probably going to be almost double that again. So I would say for one person living in Shenzhen, you're going to be looking in the region of 180 up to £600 a month, depending on where you want to be in the city. Now, in Birmingham in the UK, I was doing my research online, and it seems at the moment for a one-bedroom apartment or a studio apartment, it's going to be anywhere in the regions of £700 to £1,000 a month. So quite a sizable increase. The upper echelon limit in Shenzhen is kind of the lower echelon limit in Birmingham. So rent is going to cost you a fair whack of cash and a considerable portion of your monthly income. Fortunately here, I feel for the average person, the rent is a smaller percentage of their overall income as it is for most people in the UK cities. Now, second off, we're going to be talking about bills. I'm going to run through these pretty quickly as we've got a few things to get through. So in Shenzhen, in the heat of summer, when I'm using the AC all the time, I'm probably paying maximum £40 a month for my gas, electric and water. Actually, no gas is used in most modern apartments here. It tends to just be electric and water. That is insanely cheap. And then down into the winter months, it's going to be half that, maybe 20, 25 pounds a month, you know, which isn't really much at all. Now, I've had friends and family recently in the UK messaging me saying, oh my God, you know, our energy bills are going through the roof. You know, they're seeing prices have doubled in the past few months because of this Ukraine-Russia situation. And, you know, there are a lot of families who are only just earning enough to pay all these bills and pay the rent and the car already. And, you know, they're going to be finding it very tough as the energy prices begin to soar. So in the UK, for a studio apartment, one person living there, you're going to be paying at least double what you are here. It's going to probably be in the regions of 60 to £100 a month in terms of gas, electric and water. As well as that, in the UK, if you're renting a place, you have to pay something called council tax, which is also an extra lump of money every year or monthly on top of everything else that you don't have to pay here. There's no council tax. So thirdly, we're going to be talking about food. Now, I've just mustered up a rough estimate of how much I spend on food, and it's probably going to be between £5 to £7 on average per day. Obviously, that's going to change if there's several times we go out on a night out in the month, or, you know, there's birthdays or things like that. It's going to be a bit higher. But typically, when I'm at home, probably around the region of £5 to £7 a day. Now, to be honest, I think that's pretty reasonable because I am eating out a lot. It's something I've been able to do here a lot more than I ever was back in the UK, because there are things available for every kind of price range here on the street. You can go to nice restaurants just like anywhere else in the world that's going to cost you, you know, a bunch of money, or you can go to, you know, reasonably priced restaurants, which there are absolutely tons of here, that even if you're living on a pretty average wage, you can eat at fairly regularly. And then there are a lot of street food stores which you could literally eat at 3 times a day, and it's not going to break the bank in the slightest. So as a rough estimate, that works out at £150 to £200 a month on food and water. Water's the other thing as well. You can't drink the tap water here, so you do have to add that on as an additional expense. You have to buy bottled water. I would say probably I spend about £10 a month on drinking water. Now the next one is transport. Now transport is probably one of the things, when I do leave China, it's probably one of the things that I'll miss the most. It's super easy and convenient and inexpensive to travel anywhere, and fast. Because there's bullet trains that sort of go everywhere around the country. There's over 30,000 kilometers of high-speed rail around the country. You know, you can literally go pretty much anywhere for a reasonable price. Of course, there's flights all the time that are not too bad. And then in a city, you've got metros, you've got guys on electric bikes that will take you places. You've got DDs, which are super inexpensive comparing to the UK. It's never really an issue to get around anywhere. And then you've got the shared bikes, which are literally dirt cheap, like 2 RMB, 20p, you know, to use for as long as you want. So you've never got an excuse to, you know, not travel somewhere if you needed there, other than right now because we're in lockdown, so we ain't going to be traveling anywhere. Compare that with the UK, and public transport is honestly just not very good. Trains are owned by private companies, so the tickets are constantly going up in price, and the rail network is not that extensive throughout the country. You know, it's easier to drive anywhere. Actually, quite often it's cheaper to drive than it is to take public transport, which is just beyond me. You know, it should never be that way round. It should always be encouraging to take public transport, but it's not. You know, if you live anywhere but London in the UK, you pretty much need a car. Like, I didn't live in a city, and if I didn't have my own car, it's literally like living in a prison, because there was one bus that would come through the village every day. And besides that, you've got nothing. And it's not within walking distance of going anywhere. Of course, I could have a bicycle, but, you know, then I've got to bike half an hour to the nearest town. It's just not ideal. So you need a car. And cars are very expensive to run. anywhere in the world, to be honest, but particularly in the UK as a young driver. You need to pay insurance, which is, you know, really expensive when you're young. You've got to pay petrol costs, which, as I said before, oil prices are rocketing, so petrol is super expensive at the moment. And I'm sure anyone watching from the UK right now will, you know, confirm that it's very expensive just for transport. I remember when I lived about 30 minutes away from work back in the UK, and I was spending upwards of £200 a month on petrol. And that's not even like everything, because there's insurance on top of that, which was an extra £50 to £80 a month. It's nuts, really. But here, it's not really that necessary to own a car. If you have a family, you might want one, but if you're just a single person living in the city, it's really, really not necessary to own a car. The metros are super cheap, you know, 8 kwai is going to take you from one side of the city to the other. DDs are probably 20% of the price of a taxi in the UK. Now I'm going to take a rough estimate here on transport costs for the average person in Shenzhen. Maybe 40 to 60 pound a month on transport, which is nothing, absolutely nothing in comparison to the UK. If you own a car or you need to get the bus or train every day, you could be spending easily 200, 300, 400 pound a month on transport. That's quite a big difference. Okay, that gives you an idea of the cost of living in a first-tier city here in China as compared to the UK. You know, I'm not going to be too specific with amounts because obviously it very much depends on your personal situation. But that gives you an idea anyway. I don't want to keep this video too long. But yeah, it's overall, I would say living here in China for less money, you can enjoy a much nicer quality of life in terms of your monthly outgoings than you can in the UK, because the cost of living in the UK is pretty high in comparison to the wages. But anyway, let me know what you think down in the comments. What's it like in your country, or what city you live in? I would love to hear. Drop a like on the video if you did find it useful in any way, shape or form. It always helps that algorithm, and we will see you in the next one. For now, take care.